This is our final session, Mr. Isaacs. But I must confess, I don't know whether you're pleased about that or not. Well, after discussing several topics with you over a few weeks, I'm still unable to judge whether you're pleased about that or not.
I have no feelings one way or the other, Doctor. I really don't see how it matters.
Oh, it matters. It matters to me greatly because, you see, I'm still not fully understanding what happened on that night. Let's start at the beginning. Were you immediately aware
You
of...
probably thought I was some sort of maniac 10 minutes before you came into this room. A monster. Wasn't worth listening to. Somebody who should be locked up or worse. So why do we bother with this charade of I'll tell you something horrible and then you say, oh, don't worry, it's not your fault, blah, blah, blah.
Why do you assume I won't believe your explanation for what happened? I've read the police report quite thoroughly. Several times, in fact. It's an extraordinary story, Mr. Isaacs. And I want to hear your perspective on the event.
Dear God, you've even given it a fucking name now. The event. Beautiful. Doctor, keep it going.
Keep what going?
This illusion of professional detachment, of course. Remember, never trust information that comes too freely without somebody being asked for it first.
When you close your eyes, Mr. Isaacs, when you're visited by that darkness, tell me, what do you see?
I see their bodies when I close my eyes and it never stops. I keep walking into that room and finding them like I'm waking from some sort of nightmare. The blood fills my senses. It's everywhere. It's on my clothes. It's on my hands. It's in my
Mr.
mouth.
Isaacs, you're still lying!
I'm not lying! Can't do this to me. I'm not a bad person.
The bodies of your wife and children weren't just stabbed and slashed. They were mutilated. The examination found claw marks across their heads and abdomens. Marks that properly can't be accounted for. And I personally don't believe you're responsible for that. For my understanding and for your mental health, you must tell me what happened that night.
You would never believe me.
I want to hear your story, Mr. Isaacs.
I didn't want them to be like me. I didn't want them to see what I've seen.
And what have you seen?
The dark at the end.
Colin.
For the first time in my life, I really saw it, really smelled it, felt it. I've only ever half seen it all those other times before. The dark. That's what my mother used to call it.
No, I mean, why that particular moniker?
What do you mean?
Why did she call it the dark? I mean, it seems quite dramatic.
Because it's simple and precise. Why overcomplicate anything so basic? The dark has no features, it has no form. It just is what it is. She saw it first as a little girl on the day her father died.
And how did he die?
He suffered badly from depression.
I see.
She told me on the day of his funeral the house was cold to the bone, like a grave. Every morning she would walk past a mirror that hung outside her bedroom door. To get to the bathroom, downstairs, whatever. She might glance in it, she might not. Nothing unusual about her reflection. But then, have you ever looked in a mirror or something that reflects and seen something just for a split second that looked like it might be watching you? Just a quick something like a face in a pattern or a shape in smoke or nothing as discernible as that, but so quick that when you try and focus on where it was, it's gone.
Of course we have. We've all seen reflections, Mr. Isaacs. Reflections that are just the light or shadows.
No, Doctor, that's not right. You're missing my point. Reflections and lights and things that aren't there don't quite cover it. My mother was not the sort of person to spook easily. You could even describe her as too unimaginative to scare. So when she told me that she saw a black shape at the end of the corridor, just hanging there like it was alive, reflected in that large ornate mirror, I knew I could take her seriously. cloud. But not a cloud. Like an animal. Or maybe it's like a figure, or maybe it's none of those things. Nothing dramatic in that, Doctor, just a fact. She said the dark at the end of the stairs was waiting for her, like it had come out of nowhere and was trying to understand her. She said she could feel the evil emanating from it, reaching out to touch her. She turned around and it wasn't there, but it can't be there. In the mirror. Doctor, a split second is all we're talking about. I've seen it too. It follows me in reflections like it's behind me.
Mr. Isaacs, I can't help but get the impression that you're prevaricating. Why would the darkness follow someone?
Repeat, Doctor, have you never looked in a mirror and seen something out of the corner of your eye that looked like it was hiding, like your peripheral vision just alerting you to something there, like seeing a ghost or something that doesn't belong, but when you turn to focus on it, it's gone. The dark is like that, it moves and shifts like an animal.
You sound very sure of that, Mr. Isaacs. For someone who heard this second-hand from a woman who was only 12 and she claimed to have seen something, and she had piped out in a state of shock at the suicide of her father.
I'm sure because I've seen it too.
Where? In my own house!
Before it killed everyone.
You sound very sure of that, Mr. Isaacs. I'm very sure of that.
You have to understand, Doctor, it's not intelligent.
Yes, but why would the darkness be tangible, intelligent thing?
No,
why would it be that?
When you see it, you freeze. Have you ever walked into a room and felt a sensation like spiders crawling up your arms and legs, only worse, much worse? Like someone's poured cold water down your back. You freeze like stone. You're alone in that room, you know you are. You close the door, so there's no reason to be scared. It's cold there in that dark spiders down your back place. You're alone. Rain's informing you of it. But your heart and your gut screaming at you that you are not alone. The dark at the end was in that room, as big as you can imagine, reaching out to hurt me like it had hurt all of us before.
When the police walked into the room, Mr. Isaacs, do you know what they saw? And I quote, Sgt Jane Potter was first to arrive on the scene.
I entered the address at approximately 11:45 p.m. through the front door. Nobody appeared to be present, but upon closer inspection, a noise could be heard from the first floor. Venturing upstairs, I found a bedroom covered in human blood, with the bodies of 2 children, male and female, and also the body of an adult female, though the damage was so great this was only certified later. A man, Mr. Lawrence Isaacs, was also present, also covered in blood. He held a large serrated knife, kneeling over the adult corpse, talking to himself. Upon arrival, medics sedated Mr. Isaacs and took him to St. Thomas's Infirmary, where he was later sectioned under the Mental Health Act. It is my belief that Mr. Isaacs was present when these 3 individuals died. The injuries sustained by the children and their mother are consistent with slashing by a blade with a serrated edge. The same blade held by Mr. Isaacs upon his sedation, which was also covered in blood.
The only thing that couldn't be explained, Mr. Isaacs, were the claw marks on the children's necks. Did you claw their necks, Mr. Isaacs?
I've told you again and again and again. The dark at the end was inside them, all of them, and I had to get it out somehow. The dark was inside my mother's father, inside my mother, and inside me. When I heard my daughter cry out that there was something in her bedroom mirror, something watching her, something black that swallowed the light and wouldn't go away, I knew it wasn't just a child's nightmare. I knew that the dark had got inside them, got inside my children, just like it had been inside me, and that it was my fault, you see. I often feel like I'm being watched.
Would you like to know what I think, Mr. Isaacs? I don't think there's any such thing as your dog. I think you made the whole story up. I think you killed your family in a violent rage, the cause of which we may never know, and concocted this ridiculous story about a phantom to explain your defence's insanity, leading to manslaughter. I examined you psychologically for 10 hours over 2 weeks, and I can see a seasoned actor, but by no means a mad woman. Sometimes, Mr. Isaacs, we all commit terrible, reprehensible acts and find a way to explain it as the most natural thing in the world. Something like a lie we can wrap up or hide, or a tangible thing we can throw away. I believe your darkness is real in one sense. As real as your own evil. We all make our own dark, Mr. Isaacs. You seem to have found yours. Let me out, please!
Please don't go. Please don't leave me alone, Dad. Please don't turn out the light.